Welcome to episode 144 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. I have both co-hosts.
Has that always been on the top of the screen?
The title?
Yes.
Maybe.
Because that's how you cheat and always know what
No,
episode
that's
it
not
is.
normally up there.
No, I know because I
Write
go
it down.
look on
So,
the last podcast.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a whole. I guess
It
they
must
did an
have
update, so
updated
it's
or
different.
something.
It has changed a lot. Like I had to
Maybe
go
it's
in.
just because your co-hosts are finally here and
Yeah, because
neither of us have computers and we're actually paying attention to our shit.
maybe
that could be
may
it.
be true.
Yeah.
And I have a brand new. You didn't see my brand new computer.
I haven't.
It like
Oh.
works and stuff.
Wow, like it doesn't take it 15 minutes to turn on.
Nope, I don't have to stare
That's
at it,
cool.
hoping it's gonna work. Now it has disconnected itself from the internet a few times, so it made it through last week. We'll see how it goes.
Gotcha.
Facebook user says, "What's up, guys?" Again, don't know who that is.
Hey, bear.
What?
It's the cocaine bear. I don't know.
I saw previews for
Can't
that.
fucking wait for that to come out.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, we were watching, I think it was like NCIS, maybe.
it was regular NCS, I think.
It was, yeah,
They're
the
talking about
regular
cocaine
one.
bear.
And they were talking about the cocaine bear like 2 weeks ago or
Yep.
something. And I was like, what?
Because it was a real thing. It
And
ate
then I saw
cocaine
the
and died.
movie. I was
it
like,
didn't go
what?
crazy. Who is it? Is it Bill Burr that has the?
It's Sean.
Is it Bill Burr that has the skit about the cocaine bear?
I don't know.
Maybe it was Dave Chappelle. It's Dave Chappelle. I think he talked about
I love
how he said, you know, that was the baddest motherfucking predator in the world for about 5 minutes.
Hell yeah.
I love in the previews like bears can't climb trees. Yes,
Yeah.
they can.
And then it rips his leg off and it's snorting the coke off his leg. So I just referred the other day in a Snake ID group, somebody was asking for a good podcast that they can listen to with their 13-year-old. And I was like, well, we might get a little colorful sometimes, but we're okay. And she's like, hey, here's colorful language at home. Well, he just heard about bear snorting coke off a dude dead guy's leg. So
Chris said that our thing
It's
is
a lot.
frozen. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's doesn't seem to be frozen. Oh, I'm moving on my end. I got nothing
I meant to move that camera this week
to wear.
forward so that I can see the screen.
Oh, but then you would.
who's this Ilana person?
I don't know. Don't know. That person doesn't exist to me. I don't
She
think.
does exist. Don't be ugly.
Look, they're saying the video's frozen too.
I don't know what to tell you guys.
It's working fine on our end.
Except for my new computer somehow doesn't.
Sean doesn't say hi to Lana. He says tell
Tell
upside.
Upside.
And I said hi.
Yeah, I got nothing for you guys.
Can you guys hear us? Like somebody tell us. Yes, we can. Hear you.
Hello, is there anybody? in?
My safe word is pineapple. Yep. Lee says it's frozen over there too.
What the hell, man? Why did you have to mention something about the internet?
Well, I was doing it before we got on.
You did this.
I don't want to disconnect because then it'll just disconnect us.
Hmm.
Talk amongst yourselves while
Oh my goodness.
I play with the internet.
Have
here.
you
So
watched any of, I don't know, even know if you're into like Willow?
No, I've been watching Wednesday.
I haven't started that yet.
Oh
I'm
my
going to
God,
start
so
that
good.
next.
Wednesday
James
is
finished
awesome.
It's
it.
really good.
Joe has finished it. So I'm
Yeah.
the only one in the house that hasn't finished Wednesday.
I think I'm on episode 5.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I
Her
finished
humor
Andor.
is just perfect. In fact, I just think about Joe the whole time I'm watching it. 'cause-
Everybody has told me that. So now I really have to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, at least the sound is good.
Yeah. Chris said it. The video's just not.
All right, I'm going to attempt to disconnect us from the Wi-Fi and see what happens.
Need to get you a good old wired
Well,
connection.
so I am, but the problem is with all computers nowadays, there's no Ethernet, so you're connected to USB, and
Yeah.
it's
Brr, brr. I don't know, man.
I don't know. But no, Wednesday. It's back again.
How's it working now, guys?
Technology. It's 144 episodes, and technology still is a pain in the ass. Can anybody still hear us?
I don't think so. Like our chat's not even doing anything, you know?
This makes me sad. We're sitting here talking to ourselves. Oh, God. No.
He's talking to Darren. Good here.
So,
Okay. Justin can hear and see us.
well, we'll see how this shit goes.
Oh, I guess we can bring in our guests.
That's right.
Well, let's go. Let's do our sponsors real quick, and then we'll bring our guests. Katie.
All right. If you are looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herbst Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
Good. Also, speaking of Herbst Reptile shows, let's go ahead and run through the next few Herbst Reptile shows. I'm very sad because I won't be at one until like the end of January.
Yeah.
So it feels very weird. But the next one is, and the last one of the year is this weekend. This weekend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slidell.
In Slidell, Louisiana, December 10th and 11th. And then the first one of the new year is Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, January 14th and 15th. Then Longview, Texas, January 21st, 22nd. Then birthday weekend, Conroe, Texas, January 28th, 29th. Then down to Corpus Christi, Texas, February 25th and 26th. Then over back to New Orleans, Louisiana, March 4th and 5th. Then Bryan College Station, which is the opposite direction, March 11th and 12th. And then out to Waco, March 25th and 26th. So
We ain't coming out.
there.
That's all I could ever think
you
of
don't
when
get
I hear Waco.
It's the
Branch
Wackos.
Davidians.
It's the Wackos in Waco. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
I got nothing.
There was a whole cult there. They,
Oh, yeah.
David
yeah,
Craig.
Yeah, yeah,
okay. There,
yeah. Okay.
Wow.
That's
Somebody
all I
just sent
know
me
is
a
there was a
message.
cult. Like, I know nothing more.
Hey man, I
than
know
that.
you used to be a cop. There's this police helicopter flying around Dickinson. You have any idea what it's doing? I was like, I don't know, defying gravity. I mean, it's been fucking almost 13 years, bro.
I mean, you don't still have connections, man.
I mean,
Hopefully-
I do, but
hopefully not
geez.
falling out of the
They
air.
don't text me, hey, just so you know, all the way over there in Manville where you live, we're flying a helicopter in Dickinson.
hey, guy who you probably barely know any of the people that still work here. Oh, anyways, and then I forgot the Wiregrass Exotics. If you are in South Alabama, go visit our friends at Wiregrass Exotics for all of your reptile and feeder needs. I think it. Oh, now Sean says there's no sound. I don't know what to. I don't know what to tell you.
Fuck?
I got nothing. It says I have internet. It says I'm connected to the internet. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in our guest, and we're gonna see how shit works. The good thing is this thing in front of me, thanks to Wiregrass Exotics, definitely
It's recording, yeah.
records everything we say. So the important part's recorded.
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe it's just Sean. He does live
Yep, Justin said it was
out
working.
in nowhere. So
All right, let's bring the Reddies in. We got all kinds
all
of
right,
questions.
let's bring in our guests. Our guests are Lee and Amanda Reddy of Reddy's Rainforest. How are y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you guys. I
When
don't
we,
like
we
that.
interviewed them at
Brian College.
Bryan
Station,
College Station forever
which
ago.
was forever ago.
And then that one got released forever ago because that was the one Bryan College Station episode or interview that got released early.
like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that was August when I was still contemplating whether or not I should change careers because of this third grade group. And now I have a little more faith in them. I'm in a good place.
Yes. Chris says all that money went to the new computer. It did go with the new computer, but it also goes to our very expensive internet that doesn't always seem to want to work correctly.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one.
Fucking AT&T.
Comcast hadn't, or Xfinity hasn't been much better lately.
I think it's everybody. I don't think anyone on earth has good internet.
Nope.
I think everybody says they have good internet.
Yeah.
And then once you log up, it's just shit after that.
Oh, there's.
Yeah.
All right. So, before we get into this, I want to let's do a giveaway.
Dude,
From
I'm
last
going to
month.
need you to tone this down just a little bit.
Tone what down?
You are a little excited tonight.
What are we giving away?
Welcome back to the podcast, Robert. We are
It's
giving.
okay. I can't tell you either.
Nobody can.
Nope.
It's last month's giveaway.
It's your
We
job.
extended it a week
This is your job.
into this.
A
That's
gift card to
cool.
Repticulture.
It is.
For
There we go.
$40. There we go.
Let me pull up random number generator here.
I haven't had any communication with
Hey,
people
there's
all day
happy
long,
birthday, Ashley Howdy.
So I'm a little bit spastic.
The
Big-
Howdies.
Oh, it's her birthday.
It's her birthday, apparently.
That's
I
exciting.
only know that because y'all are saying that. I'm sure Facebook tells me that, but I seem to miss it.
That's the only reason I know. I mean, I don't even know when my wife's birthday. Wait, that's not true.
Please tell me that's not true. Oh,
What just happened?
I calm down.
Okay.
This
Calm
is
down.
weird.
I switched screens. Okay, so
Chris.
anyways, so our giveaway. Let me go ahead and pull up the random number generator and press the fancy button. Do. And it is, wait for it. Oh, Paul Byfield.
He won again?
He did.
All right. I'll
He-
let him know.
He did. I can actually probably tell you what he was going to, because the whole giveaway, they had to tell us what they were going to spend the money on. So I can tell you what Paul was going to spend his money on. And if he lies, he doesn't get it.
That is not at all how that works. He might change
Oh.
his mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna draw again because this is what Paul did last time he won.
Give it away.
Yeah, I gave it away. So we're gonna draw another one. I just looked. I figured last time he won, he's like, give it away. So
Well, he already had a USARC membership.
beep boop beep boop beep boop. That was the random number generator in case I was wondering. Cynthia Cortez. I don't know Cynthia, but Cynthia has won a $50 gift certificate to Repticulture. So, yay!
Cool.
Oh, we are giving.
I just left there.
Does anybody know our giveaway this month?
4 things the same every week, but I don't remember what they are.
You're doing better than me.
Way to go! Thanks to our friends over at Colossal Constrictors, who still want to remind everybody bought us pizza. I know they're ready. We're going to get to them. Calm down, Chris. Colossal Constrictors is giving away an infrared
Tim Guns.
Tim gun. There you go.
Thanks, Darren.
Darren
Thanks,
knew.
Darren.
Darren knew.
I can't win it, so I mean,
Come on, Sean.
It's giving away Tim guns every week of December. All you have to do is
how are
comment.
we going to do that the week that we don't have a show?
We'll still put a question out.
Okay, good job.
And so I got this.
You have it. Have at it.
So
Jesus Christ.
out of curiosity, Amanda and Lee,
Can I finish?
with all the chameleons,
No, you're good.
do you guys use temp guns like very regularly?
Every day.
Okay,
Every day
awesome.
for their special lizards. Anyways, let me tell people how they can join, and then we can get straight to the readies, Katie.
Okay, well,
Calm down.
You're
Calm down.
taking too long.
I know it's a lot of things. What's what happens when all of y'all aren't here on a regular basis? So all you gotta do is comment on our weekly question. Comment on our weekly question. This week we had 2 of them because I kind of dropped the ball on. I took a while to get to the second one. I apologize. But comment on them. Your name goes in, and then we will pick you and you'll win a tip gun. I think I'm done now.
Okay.
You want to take over?
No, I mean, they're all about chameleons. I'm excited. I like learning about chameleons, and they educate people very well.
Are we supposed to be using a different link? Because we're super delayed on our end.
Oh no, I don't.
I don't know. I just thought of the comment.
No, I don't. I don't know what Chris is talking about. I rarely do. But no, that's the only link. I don't know. The internet does not like us. Technology is not a fan of this podcast. Even though we have like nice technology now, it's still not a fan of this podcast.
I don't know.
We go like weeks and weeks and it's good, and
then
we go
just
a couple
shits.
weeks when it's not.
You know what I should have done? I should have just unplugged the internet ahead of time and then plugged it back in and see it because that always fixes stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my approach to my health.
Just unplug it.
Yeah, just
I think if it comes down to a point where someone has to unplug something from you, you don't want that to happen.
But I think if you're at that point, you probably do.
You probably do want it. That's true. But it may not restart you.
This took a
That's
turn.
true.
This took a turn.
But it could. I've seen flatliners.
It could.
All right.
Okay. So
No sound.
Oh, we lost your sound. Oh no, it's just us. Anybody hear us? Well, I don't know where our host went, though. I don't know how to do a show without a host. Yeah, I don't see anybody either. Well, Simba says he's here.
Guess we pulled on a chameleon.
We'll just let out Simba. Let everybody see Simba. There's Simba. He is Mufasa's son. So Mufasa is his daddy. He's a Simbaba. Can you see him? How did we meet? We met when I was 14 or 15. I was 14 or 15. And how old were you? You were, so you're
16, 17.
That's right. Something like that. He's like a year, 2 years older than me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were in high school whenever we met. We've been together ever since. We were just kids. Grew up together, I guess, now. So maybe we're back now. I don't know if you can hear us, but this is Mufasa. So this is Simba's dad, the one that little baby right here that we just showed you. This is his daddy. So panther chameleons was our first reptile that we've ever had. We never had another reptile before panther chameleon. No snakes, no anything like that. We started out with chameleons. So for people that say that, you can't have a chameleon as your first reptile, you can. Because really nothing will prepare you for the care that they require. That's what we've noticed. It's no animal, it's the same as you taking care of an isopod or, a ball python or a leopard gecko. They all have their own specific needs that they have to have. So it's the same thing. You just have to start with something. And we've had reptiles chameleons since 2010, 2009.
Yep, 2009.
Yeah. So that's whenever we got our first chameleon, and it was an Mbanja, and his name was Ranger. And now we have this one, which is Mufasa, and he's a Simbalba locale. So that means the town in Madagascar where he came from. And then we have, he's up there looking at Mufasa angry right now, is Chandler, which he is an Mbanja, and he goes to all the shows with us. His name's Chandler Bing. And then we have Alamo Ranger, which is another Mbanja, but he is wild caught. And we love him, and he's such a good kid. And then of course, the ladies. We have Blue Bonnet, which is an Mbanja female, and she is Chandler's sister and Alamo's mate. That is who all the babies in these cages and babies that you can't see in front of us, that is their mother. And then we have his girlfriend, which is this one's mother. His name is Sarabi.
I'm going to answer a few of these questions. We have never had melers. We've never kept them. They are amazing animals. Let's see. Females, because they don't breed, won't get egg bound and die. So it's more, I would say you need to offer more calcium to them. As far as that goes, really it's on the care of the female whether she can sustain the eggs or not. As long as her female is very healthy, very hydrated, make sure and dust with plain calcium, not calcium with D3, and she should lay infertile eggs, no problem. And let's see. How long after your initial purchase before you start your collection? Our first panther chameleon that we bought back in the day, we probably raised him till he was about 6 or 8 months old before we purchased a female for him. Then after that, we just kept adding and adding, and
we ended up with a lot of wild caughts. We loved getting into fresh genetics and taking care of the wild caughts. They're so much different than the captive bred. It's not that they're aggressive or anything, but you can just tell there's more wild in them. They get bigger. They seem to be, a lot more colorful sometimes. And we've actually, the longest lived chameleon we ever had was a wild caught.
Hey, we're back.
Oh, are we back?
Y'all are crushing it.
y'all
been the whole
been
time. We were
going
watching
this
it
whole
on-
time.
Oh,
And yes, we've
What
been
did you say?
watching you on the phone. He opened another
I did
window.
open shit.
oh.
You did.
No, the computer did it.
Y'all
Yeah.
have been crushing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
I've just been sitting here listening to you on the phone going, this is great. That's the best.
I've just been having a slight aneurysm with my computer. It's fine. All right. So we'll see how this
Please
works.
continue as you were.
Well, let me try and catch up to where. What are we talking about? I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna take this. So anybody listening to this podcast, at this point, it's gonna be weird because I'm gonna go back and take whatever they were talking about and put it into this podcast because it saved it. So I'll be able to get that.
It is also Justin Schlief, who was in our chat earlier. It's his birthday too. I just saw that on Facebook.
Happy birthday.
We have lots of birthdays.
Fuck you, Sean Gray. You also spelled Katie wrong.
Well, he technically spelled it correctly, just not the way she spells it for her name.
That's right.
Because that is a correct spelling of the word Katie.
She's not a city in Texas.
That's true. Even my cousin, who was born in Katy and his name is Katie, spells it like she does.
The IE.
Yeah.
It's been written with a Y my whole life.
And wrong.
I know. It's okay. I just roll with it.
All right, so let's get into reptiles and then we'll get into whatever else. So what have we been discussing so far? What's that? Must say we? I mean you.
Yeah, we just been
Just talking about what we have.
Yep, what we've kept, and I had an interesting question on females that laid infertile eggs, are not bred if they would die because they weren't bred. And so I think I covered that topic.
Okay.
Will they die?
And then we had what was our success rate with the wild caughts?
Oh, we do very good with wild caughts.
It doesn't even look real.
We do things a little different. We're more patient with our wild caughts. We don't treat them immediately, but we do isolate them away from the rest of our collection. It's just patience with them. Everybody's in too much of a rush because they see a pretty panther chameleon and they want to dose it with medicine and then they end up killing it.
And when you say wild caughts, you're talking about Florida wild caughts, right?
No.
Oh no? Okay.
No, straight from Madagascar wild caughts.
And those come in sporadically whenever they open up, right? Because they're not always open.
Yes. Yep. And our longest lived panther chameleon was a nosy folly male by the name of Poseidon. He lived 7 years, 6.5 years with us.
Wow.
Here, but he came in as an adult.
Oh wow, that is a long time.
Yeah, so we have no idea, how old he actually was when he was caught, but he was full grown, fully colored up, and that chameleon was a strong chameleon.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, because isn't the typical lifespan only like 5 years?
5 to 7 years on a male.
5 to 7.
Yeah. Now, female, shorter, but that's because they're
Right.
producing eggs and, they have a lot going on.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's why I always found it hard for me to buy a panther chameleon. Because I can't. Because they've come down in price. They're not where they were. But that's still a lot of money for something that's going to live 6 years.
Right.
Whereas I'm used to if I get a snake and it costs me that much money, I can have it for 20 or more years.
Yes.
But
That's one thing they
none
are.
of them look like that.
They're shorter lived for the reptile world.
Yeah, it's like probably one of the most beautiful animals. Here's the trade-off. It's gorgeous, but you don't get to look at it for long.
It's not very long lived. No.
Yep.
You know what though? Sometimes, this is probably going to sound very insensitive, and it is not meant to be. Sometimes
What
you
a
really
jerk.
don't need a pet for more than 8 years though.
It's fucked
Guinea
up.
pigs only, they have a shorter lifespan. Other lizards have shorter lifespans.
You're right. I wish these damn dogs would just go ahead and die.
No. The reason I say that though is because typically people in the reptile hobby will get an animal like a sulcata tortoise
Mhm.
and 10 years in be like, hey, I don't want this anymore.
We mean 10 years.
Well,
2 years in.
I was
A year, 3 months in.
trying to give them a
Once
little
it
more
starts
credit.
digging up your yard and tearing up your fences, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's so heartless. You're like, it's good they're disposable
Well,
pets.
that's not at all what I said. but-
Heartless.
Death feigning beetles live 8 to 10 years.
Holy
Jeez.
crap.
What the fuck? That's Sean Gray said. That's crazy.
I don't even know if
Okay,
I'm going to live 8 to 10
Somehow that
years.
does not seem fair that a death feigning beetle should live longer than a panther chameleon.
I've got roaches that live longer than panther chameleons.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's definitely not right. That should not happen. That's
No.
Where's
the trade-off in this?
something in the evolutionary path of that
economically.
animal really fucked up.
That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah. Well, they are fast producers. So, I mean, that's probably where the trade-off is. Shorter lifespan, and then they produce several clutches a year versus one clutch a year.
Are they like, because I know like leopard geckos will lay like every month or whatever. Like they're like chickens, they'll constantly lay. Will chameleons do that too? Will they lay on a regular basis?
They'll lay 3 times every 30 days after a pairing, roughly
Gotcha.
30 days after a pairing.
Wow. And how many eggs do they usually lay at once?
They can do 20 to 30 on average.
Jeez. Like each time?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yep.
That's a lot of babies.
That's a shit ton of eggs.
That right there is why the lifespan is 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like this sister here, she produces, I think her last clutch a couple of weeks ago was like 44 eggs.
Fuck.
So
Wow.
Well, and then they incubate for eternity, right?
6, 9, 12 months.
That's a
Well, it's like our
That's
Dumerals
water.
boa. It's like 11-month gestation on those
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
That's longer than a human.
Yeah.
well. That's where
It's
I
like
think
a
like
horse.
someone
11
who's,
months.
Damn.
well, that's what I think with someone that's used to like breeding colubrids like corns or like ball pythons would probably get would not want to do this because they're used to lays eggs and then in 60 days we got babies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like even with boas, like I have to wait 4 to 5 months on certain species of boas or dumerals. It's longer. But like it's there's Sean talking about the Parsons. I knew the Parsons. It's like 2 years to hatch a Parsons chameleon egg.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a long commitment for an egg.
It's like an elephant.
Of course, now Parsons, though, does live longer.
Right. Yeah.
They have the longer lifespan.
How
Are
long?
they the ones with the horns?
No, that's the Jacksons.
Oh, just
Parsons are the massive ones. You remember we went to
The ones where you're holding, a chihuahua on your
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
You remember we went to DFW, the herpetarium there, and we walked in. They had those giant chameleons when you first walked in.
I think so.
Those were Parsons.
There's a picture back in the day of Sean holding our Parsons on Instagram. I think it was 2013 or something like that.
They're not the flashiest, but the size of one is just
Oh,
it's
they're-
impressive.
Yeah, that's why you want one. I mean, it's this, but giant.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
It's
Yeah.
giant.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh, you're looking at the pictures. Yeah, it's a huge chameleon. I think a lot of folks when they get into reptiles or as kids fall in love with chameleons because we love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And so when you look at a Jackson's chameleon, it's very much, it's a triceratops. Like it's got horns on its face.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally a tiny dinosaur.
Yeah.
With oven mitts.
Right.
Yes. and rotating eyeballs.
Yeah.
They are an odd lizard. And I mean, there are some on mainland Australia. Australia. I know that is not what I meant. Africa is what I meant. But I was talking about Madagascar is such a weird place, just the evolutionary path of most animals on Madagascar. Chameleons are, I mean, you go from things like Parsons to the dwarf chameleon, like the little tiny, with the, like 2 inches long, right?
Pygmy chameleons?
Yeah, they can
Yeah,
fit on the
pygmies.
tip of your finger, full grown.
And they all live on Madagascar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a handful in Africa, but like,
That's crazy.
But
It's-
most chameleons came from Madagascar, and that's the only place they are.
There's quite a
They
few
just-
species in Africa.
Yeah.
I always know because like I think it's Planet Earth has the one that lives like out in the desert. And so you have this chameleon just walking through the sand in the desert, and you're like, that does not look right.
Yeah.
No, they're meant to be in trees.
Yeah.
That's why they have
But
these
there's-
mitten hands.
Yeah, but there's that one species that lives in the desert that's really, really neat.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
Which is funny because we think of historically in the hobby as them being a very sensitive, and I know we'll talk about it, but a very sensitive species or a group of lizards. But that thing lives in a desert and it's just walking around with like wind
I
and
remember
sand throwing in its
watching-
face. And
Watching that, and when it would eat all the sand that would be stuck to its tongue, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
that's,
in the hobby, we're like, oh God, don't do that. It'll die from impaction. And that thing's
Right.
out there just like, no, I'll eat the sand. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. Rub some dirt in it.
But they're, like I said, they're weird. They're between the eyes, and then if no one's ever seen the hands, it's hard to explain. They don't look right. But oven mitt is the best way you can get because we picture like most people when they picture lizard, they picture like a bearded dragon or a leopard gecko hand, and it is not that at all.
No. It's like, yeah, I mean, he's, the way he just holds on to you is, I'm not holding him, he's holding me.
It's a cool lizard.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll do one day.
Don't say that too loud, because if your child hears it, I mean, Amanda's going to jump on that chance after talking to her at that show that day.
You know it.
Joe like bonded with Amanda over chameleons that day.
Yep. I mean, they're my favorite. I mean, it's living art,
Oh, absolutely.
It's just, that's literally all they're just living art. I mean, he's, totally doesn't care that he's sitting here right now. And there's, babies looking at him. The adults are up there looking at him. And he's just like, whatever, you just say, oh, you just calm down.
So Darren Watson asked, how does wild caught work? Do you have a direct connection with someone there, or do you there's a ton of importers here and you just take whatever shows up? How does that work for y'all?
Used to have a direct connection many years ago, and then that connection disappeared, and so now we just wait for imports to come in, and when the animals get posted, we look and see, hey, that's a nice chameleon, and figure out what locality it is, where it got imported from, and then decide to purchase or not. I mean, some wild caughts are mislabeled whenever they come in, but that's why you gotta understand your localities, and really look at the animal before you purchase it.
Like, yeah, we can typically tell when it comes from Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They got their own
Look.
yeah.
So how many? I know that there are veileds in Florida. I'm assuming there are panthers, or probably Jackson, some of the more common ones in the hobby there.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to a guy about a year ago. He was a part of the Florida Fish and Game down there, and he said that the population isn't big, but yes, there is panther chameleons there. I mean,
I'm just always interested in the stories you hear of how dangerous it is to go chameleon collecting in Florida, because some of those places you'll get shot.
Oh, I'm sure.
They have some of those people have I don't know how bad it is today, but I know historically they would have their grounds for collecting chameleons, and if you went into someone's grounds, you may not be found again.
right? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it can be that way even in Madagascar in some places, but it's not for that same reason. It's
Right.
a little different.
Right. Kind of like there's a locality of panther chameleon called Nosy Mitsio. Well, there's a king or a guy or a ruler on that island, and since 2010, we hadn't been able to collect that locality from that island because the guy who runs that island says nope. If you come onto the island, we have problems.
Jeez. Well, it's such a sad thing when you think about that, because we're talking about a lizard that lives in the trees, and you're also talking about an island in general, the island, the small islands around it, but Madagascar that has lost 50% of its rainforest.
Right.
Right.
And
Yes.
so you just think about how many you've probably lost to that you're never going to get back. So the population has just got to be dwindling when it comes to chameleons there as well.
Well, I mean, from what I understand is panther chameleons are like Mediterranean house geckos here. They're everywhere.
What? So crazy.
Wish I had
That's the kind of stuff that fascinates me about other countries.
Yeah, well, like my friend a couple weeks ago that lives in Mexico that was playing golf, and here comes a big boa across
Yeah.
the golf.
Yeah.
For us, that would be like us seeing a water mox on
We
the
would
golf
have,
course.
Yeah. Yes. We see stuff randomly in the wild, and other people are like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Remember when we had Rob Christian on? He said his one thing he wants to find is a broadband water snake, and we're like,
see them all the time.
yeah, that's very common here.
It's crazy.
Well, remember in Brian, we told you, the natives are afraid of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The natives are afraid of them.
That cracks me up. I'm like, I can see them being afraid of the Dumer's boa or the Madagascar ground boa or even the tree boas, but not the goofy ass looking chameleons.
Right.
The
No,
big old bug eyes and oven mitts for hands. And
they're
But think about
terrified
it,
of
but
them.
that's why, they don't move like other animals do. Their eyes kind of go all wonky. I mean, I could get where maybe you throw an old folk tale in there with it, and
yeah, well, it's just, if you ever see one when it gets when it gets on the ground, it just looks wrong.
because it's not
No, they
supposed
do
to
not
be
walk
there.
on flat surfaces at all.
They are not made for the ground. And And they're funny. I've watched them like just get grabbed for stuff that is not meant to be grabbed or hold weight, and like they'll just grab for it and then fall off. It's Darren went to New Jersey, has squirrels, pigeons, and black bears.
You have plenty of black bears.
That's it. That's all you have, Darren. Although you must have corn snakes because you can't own corn snakes there without red eyes. So
Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
so weird.
Yeah. Is that just to show they're captive bred?
yeah, it's so you can prove that you didn't go out and catch this butter whatever corn out of the wild or caramel or
Okay.
because we're really low on corn snakes and so many people are collecting wild
So that
corn.
means like my palmettos that don't have red eyes wouldn't be legal there. Even though
I think technically, even though
they're
it's
white with spots. I mean,
yeah, technically on that law, it's a weird law. Like I said, like Georgia has one like that too. It's ridiculous. But all right, so one thing I do want to talk about, and I know we've hinted at before, and we talked about it. And one of the reasons why are we? Oh,
My nose is running.
okay, I was wondering why paper towels just showed up magically.
Thanks, Robert.
So
Mhm.
one thing we saw at a show is there was an individual who was selling panther chameleons, but also, and this is the odd part, selling panther chameleon eggs. You buy the egg, you take the egg home, you care for the egg, and then supposedly it will hatch. Although I honestly think you put it on a shelf and forget about it, and then it shrivels up because it dries out, and you just wasted however much money on it. But so I wanted to get your opinion and what y'all thought. I said before, Katie has seen this before with leopard tortoise eggs, where you could buy a leopard tortoise egg off the internet and it would mail an egg to you, which just doesn't seem right. But what are your thoughts on it when it comes to chameleons being something that, as far as the hobby is seen, is tricky to take care of? I can only imagine as just an egg, a brand new baby out of an egg. If you do get it to hatch, it's got to be a quite a thing too. So, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a controversial topic, you know. I mean, there's people for it and against it. You know, we I don't know. We don't really agree with it, but there's a reason why. You know, it's we don't want the chameleons to have a bad name because they're not as hard to care for as what people say they are. You know, they're saying they need like 100% humidity and this and that and everything else. And somebody buys a panther chameleon egg and it doesn't hatch, or it hatches and then it immediately dies on them. Well, then there's a bad connection with the panther chameleon.
Yeah.
You know, we have a 100% hatch rate. I could probably get anybody and everybody to hatch a panther chameleon egg. The
100% hatch rate.
now
that's awesome.
Gosh.
The thing is we can get you to hatch it, but we can't force it to live.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%.
Well, see, so
yes.
our,
That's totally different.
Our first experience with chameleons did not go well. I think we talked about it before, but we got 2 veiled chameleons and they were
Maybe an
like
inch,
$20 a piece, and they were super small,
like teeny
Yeah.
tiny.
and they didn't make it. And then years later, we talked to someone. Those were way too small for you to have bought. Like you should have definitely got older ones, which we now know.
I mean,
So I can
that
only
was also 18 years ago.
But I can only imagine though, if someone does get this egg, and if they do get it to hatch, this brand new baby chameleon that's never done anything, and I mean, this is probably their first chameleon they've ever owned. Also, now they got to get it to thrive.
Right.
Yes. Well, it's like how you can, when you're breeding snakes and you have your, snakes hatch, why do you have to feed them an X amount of meals before you sell them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing in the sense of, is that newborn snake that's had no meals in it, is it too young to sell? Why are you waiting until after it's had, 3, 7, 10, whatever meals in it? So is an egg too young to sell? I don't know. I mean, because, what's the difference then if you have to feed a snake so many times before you sell it?
Well, and,
You
and as
know,
breeders, our thing is we always want to sell well-started babies so that not only does the baby have a better chance of survival, but that it's a better experience for the keeper.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, it's just, and it's harder. Nobody thinks of it in the sense of how much harder it is to take care of something so teeny tiny versus something, like as, that one that we showed. I mean, he is well started. He's had tons of meals, and it's just like, well, a little teeny tiny baby, if you put the wrong UVB bulb on it, you can literally cook them with radiation.
And it took us, when we first got started breeding panther chameleons, it took, that first year was a lot of learning curves, especially like trying to figure out the right UVB reading,
Yeah.
The standard UVB reading for panther chameleons is 3 to 3.5 on the Ferguson scale. And baby panther chameleons don't do well with 3.5 UVB reading.
You're talking about animals that live under the canopy. They're rarely, if ever, getting direct sunlight.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, there's just little things here and there that you really need to pay attention to when you're raising a panther chameleon baby. I mean, we raise our breeders here, so we supplement the female in a certain way that when the egg is developing and the pairing has happened, that we get the proper nutrients to the mom that puts it into the egg, and the yolk provides nutrients to the baby and the neonate as it's growing, and then we hatch a baby. And it's a healthy baby, or the majority of them are. We get 100% hatch rate, but that doesn't mean we get 100% survival rate.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing.
There's a big difference. We can make it hatch, but we can't force it to live.
Well, Darren Watson says, how many offspring are you producing a year right now?
Last season we bred 2 females and we had 199 eggs in the incubator.
That's just a weird. That number is so odd
that
to go.
Number gives me a little bit of anxiety about having to figure out what to do with all this.
But let's go with So again, go back to ball pythons being the number one kind of snake in the hobby. Someone's good if they get a 5 to 7 egg clutch out of one ball python. So when they're like, I got 150 babies, that's a lot of females to get that. And you're like, no, we just bred two female chameleons.
Yeah, we only had 2 females. That's why right now, I mean, if you notice, we have Simbabas available and Imbanjas. That's because we just bred 2 females.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to overproduce.
No.
I don't.
Plus, you don't need to. I mean,
right.
2 females.
Yeah.
That was one breeding season.
That's crazy.
So,
That's what Russell talks about, 5,000 baby corn snakes next year.
Oh.
That's what he did this year.
Ugh.
He has like 2,000 breeder females.
Ugh.
Yeah.
See, I think that, and I think, God, feeding them. And then I think, oh shit, that's one meal, 3 shits from one meal because it's a corn snake. That's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to think, like, for us, a newborn baby, after, the first couple of days, after it's done absorbing, its nutrients from its egg, they can eat, 30 feeders?
Yeah.
Each? Each baby?
And what do you feed them at that point?
Right. And not just fruit flies. Everybody thinks, oh, well, I'll hatch a baby panther chameleon, I'll just feed it fruit flies. Well, that's a good way to malnourish your baby chameleon. You need to be offering gut-loaded crickets still, bean beetles.
It's a variety.
And it's
because you have to think fruit fly media. I don't know if you know what it's actually made out of, but, there's different recipes. But basically, instant potatoes, apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, activated yeast. It's like, that's not a gut load,
Right.
And it's really hard for somebody who has, like, say they get 1 egg, where are they going to find the appropriate sized feeders for a hatchling? Other than a fruit fly culture.
Yeah.
It's like pinhead crickets are not at a PetSmart.
I remember having to order boxes of pinheads for those first chameleons that we tried. And that was a pain in the ass.
God,
yeah.
I can imagine.
See, and we ordered 18,000 crickets last week.
Yeah.
And that only lasts us about a week and 2 days.
That's
And we've sold some babies since then, so it's like, it's not that we're not feeding 199 babies, but we are feeding a lot of babies right now.
I think Sean said at the peak of his breeding, he was going through like 1 million crickets a month.
Oh,
wow.
and I mean, that's it.
That number doesn't even compute to me.
No.
We feed like 150 rats or so a month.
Let's 100 and whatever baby chameleons as a computer. I'm just trying to picture the logistics of
Where
that.
did you? I mean, obviously they all have little cages, but how? Like, I mean, I see the setup behind
They just
you.
throw them all in a bucket, and whoever makes it makes it.
No, I mean,
That's how we get the strongest ones to survive.
like,
Pass those good genes on.
they're not in a rack like snakes.
Nope, they have to be in cages, you know.
Right.
Jesus, that's a
And
lot
then
of
when we
tanks.
set up a UVB light, babies, you also don't offer a basking bulb too. You need to do like a 6500K fluorescent linear bulb next to its T5 UVB bulb. And then you have to adjust the height on that cage to set temperature and UVB index on that cage.
Wow.
So you're not only using a temp gun on stuff, you're having to use a UVB meter to also measure.
Yes.
Yes, we're literally going from like where's the highest height their back can be,
Right.
and going down.
Because imagine taking like a Repticine T5 5.0 and throwing it on a 12-inch cage. The UVB reading you're going to get off that mid cage is going to be like 8 on the Ferguson scale.
And you were saying they're at like a 3, right?
Right. Yes. And, well, and even babies are even lower. We usually set them up at 1.5 to 2 max on the Ferguson scale.
Just take a pause from this for a cheap plug. If you need good UVB lights, check out our friends at VivTech. You can use code Gumbo22 for 15% off on all your purchases. You can also buy a UVB meter from them. They have it as well. Just had to do my podcast duties there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Now back to our regular schedule.
And then there's supplementation on top of that. Do you supplement or do you not supplement when they first come out of the egg? Some breeders do it different. We don't supplement our babies the first 2 weeks they're out of the egg because the mother should have provided those nutrients to the eggs to the baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
so
if your baby hatches and you're reading online that says, "Well, I need to be given synthetic D3 or this supplementation or this calcium," and you just start pounding supplements on a baby that just hatched, what's the outcome going to be?
So this is where I think the disconnect comes from, where you guys say panther chameleons can be, I say easy, but easy to take care of, in your terms, to the person who says it's hard, because I think if you follow the proper protocol and procedures and set up right, it is easy.
Yeah.
But if you go to PetSmart, you buy that Velvet chameleon, you buy whatever cage has a picture of a chameleon on it, you buy whatever UV bulb has a picture of a chameleon on it, throw it together and go home and set it all up. That's not the same thing. And then that chameleon ends up dying because you didn't, and that's where I think everybody gets that chameleons are so hard, because they don't fit the mold of what we've been told how to set them up by big box retail.
Yeah, well, it's like you notice they always use chameleon pictures and silhouettes and stuff on like everything.
Well, because they're great for photographs.
Right.
I mean, it's even on, the reptile shipping boxes that you use, it's a chameleon.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like chameleons are just that silhouette. It's like when you think reptile, you do think chameleon a lot.
Yeah.
You just
Well,
when you're a normal person, I guess, not a reptile show person, we think of everything.
Well, because bright colored panther chameleon looks so much better than tan bearded dragon on rock. Like it's just
something like that. Yeah. And it is, I mean, but it's easier to take care of a 3-month-old panther chameleon than it is a newborn, and there's really just not a lot of information online either for like somebody who's just entering, the hobby of, oh, okay, well, it hatched, so now what? Well, most of the information is for an older chameleon.
Right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you would literally put a really high powered UVB bulb, a 90-degree basking spot, and you would literally cook the baby, and it's like they're different. They're different to raise by the different ages they are.
So let's go through just a short list of the basic no's, the things that people should not use, buy, set up, that they normally do. That they would go to a store, buy everything, or maybe go to a reptile show and not talk to the right person and just buy whatever they think. What are the things they need to stay away from when setting up a chameleon?
Glass tank aquariums or terrariums. So you only screen cage.
Yeah, and that doesn't just mean screen top. That's the exterior glass tanks also. Yeah.
Needs to be screened, and don't buy Power of the Sun bulb, even though it has a chameleon on it. I saw that the other day and I thought, oh my God, it's a beautiful chameleon on the box, but you were going to literally fry it.
You mean I can't buy one of those reptile death kits from PetSmart? And that's what they should market them as.
This 150 watts bulb says it's got UVB.
Yeah.
And 150 watts behind.
Right. Don't put that on that 10-gallon.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, let me put it in a 10-gallon tank and, cook. And then I would say no, like fogger, they don't need.
But it looks
that.
so pretty when I put that in there.
Yeah.
It does. But,
Tell us how you really feel, Lee. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's a big fad going on. I don't know if it's a fad or if people, some people seem to be having success with it. I don't know how, but we do not recommend night fogging or night misting. There is no scientific proof that a chameleon can absorb moisture through its lungs. I don't know who imagined that or how it became, but the ideal behind it was a super high humidity at night so they can breathe in the fog so they can get their moisture. They shouldn't have to be day misted and lick water drops off a leaf. I've never heard. Oh, that's just stupid.
We don't know the reason
They're not
behind
gills.
it.
Yeah.
I had someone the other day.
No, and it's a daytime animal. Literally, it's like a bird. If you take a chameleon, say you want to ship it, you put it in that box, even if it's noon, it passes out. As soon as it is dark, the animal is out. So they don't function. That's why they can pick them up out of the tree. That's how they wild catch chameleons is at night. They go around with a flashlight and oh, there's one, because at night they put on their pajamas is what we call it.
Right.
And it's that they get really light colored. They show a color they never show during the day.
Right.
And you can see them really easy and you can just pluck them right out. They don't even know. They're totally gone. So there's they're not drinking at night at all. No,
and they have videos and pictures of them actively drinking in the wild during the rainy season, during the dry season in the morning, whenever the sun comes up and the dew comes in and stuff like that. And water drops on the leaves, they start drinking water. They're not drinking water while they're asleep or sticking their head in a bowl while they're sleeping.
When you get told that you have to use moving water a lot of times with them, they will only drink moving water. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense in the top of a tree.
Right.
Like there's not a waterfall at the top of a tree.
Yeah, no. And so what it is, they can't see standing water.
Right.
But like I'm sure you've seen the videos of people putting their chameleon underneath a faucet and it's trying to grab it.
Yeah.
And it's because it sees that, but it sees it as one piece.
Yeah,
it doesn't
solid.
see it as water.
It's trying to climb that clear stick in front of it.
Talking about how this nonsense with
and when you miss them, they see the droplets and they see, the reflections and in the droplets, and they know.
And it's moving. The water droplets moving down.
Makes sense.
And are dripping, and then like a dripper works. You can use a dripper. You don't even have to use, a mister if you don't want to, because they will see it dripping. They just can't see a stream of it out of a waterfall or a faucet,
I had someone ask me the other day about they said they were told at a big box pet store that they could soak their bearded dragon because they absorb water through their cloaca. And I'm like, pretty sure it's the opposite.
Yeah, so that's where water comes out.
That tends to make them poop, doesn't it?
Yeah,
yes.
Supposedly. But yeah, they said that's what they were told. It's like on the care sheet, like on a care sheet that they posted a picture of. And it's like, yeah, that's not how cloacas work.
There is like a species of turtle that can breathe through their cloaca,
right?
But that's about it. And it's already in the water.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, people are. It's like if you write it down and make it look official, people will fucking believe it.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know?
no, it's look, as a teacher, I have that problem all the time where I have to. Some kid saw something on a meme or on some graphic online.
They used whale sperm to make chapstick.
Yeah, the whale sperm to make chapstick, which was the dumbest thing. And,
Yeah.
and they believed it. They 100% believed it because they saw it somewhere.
So this is what I Googled.
Mhm.
This is what it says. It says that bearded dragons absorb water through their vent located at the base of their tail. That is not true.
I've never had a bearded dragon person tell me, "Hey, spray water on your bearded dragon's asshole."
That's one of the first thing that pops up when you say do bearded dragons.
Maybe
What
somebody
what
knows
side
more
is it on?
That's on
Babylon Bee.
petsville.com.
The Onion. Is that like a?
The onion.
I know, right?
Have a dehydrated bearded dragon. Then can you just give it an enema?
Just
I mean, that's what
Shit
it
the water.
sounds like. Lord.
that. Anyways,
Hmm.
so we had a few questions here. First, Mary Jane in the chat says she considered an egg because of the price, which I think is what the selling point most people will use if they're selling just eggs. But I realized I want to know I'm getting a male, which I would get that. You definitely wait till they get older. And I would rather spend a little more and know what I'm getting. Which
Right.
I agree with that. I would like to know that I'm getting a healthy animal.
Well, I mean, it's like we said, we have 100% hatch rate, but we don't have 100% survival.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's when I could get anybody to hatch an egg, but I can't force the baby to live.
Or
And,
guarantee the sex.
yeah, or guaranteed. I mean, it's a 50-50.
Right.
They don't incubate like some gecko species do.
Yeah.
You can't incubate for male or female.
Right.
It's going to be 50-50.
And the price is intriguing. But remember, you may be saving a little money right now, but you still got to buy the cage, the whole setup that's going to be completely different than when they're 3 months, 6 months old, a well-established baby. They're going to be in a much smaller enclosure at the beginning. And their setups the same, but not the same. I mean, you could go ahead and pre-buy the equipment to raise the baby, but then think of feeder costs. Imagine going to PetSmart and buying 30, if they have them, 1/4-inch crickets.
Oh, they're not going to have it.
Yeah, they're not gonna have. They got
You know?
meat. Small and large.
Yeah.
And small is not the same thing as small for a baby chameleon.
And then that's 1 to 2 times a day. How hungry is that baby panther chameleon? So then you start adding that up. And so where'd you save money? From egg to a 3-month-old well-established baby.
Well, and just animals by nature. So Robert grew up on farms and we've owned reptiles for a long time. Some things are born and die. It's just the nature of nature.
It's, yes.
So you're not guaranteed just because it hatched that it's in. You're not guaranteed one that it's going to live, and you're not guaranteed that if it dies, it's your fault. Sometimes it just happens, and so why would you want to risk that?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, sometimes they're just a weak baby that, look at the numbers, how we told you there was 199 eggs from 2 females. They have that many, just like a spider does.
Yeah.
If you think a spider has, hundreds of slings inside of her egg sac,
Or like sea turtles.
it's to increase survival, at least of a few.
Right. Because some aren't going to hatch. Some are going to get picked off by predators,
Or their siblings will eat them, like this.
Or they're weak hatchlings. They hatch and then they live a month and then they die, and they make it to that month period. We've noticed the first month of a panther chameleon's life
It's sketchy.
It's the most crucial part of their life. You need to be on.
Let me show you a little one.
You need to be on point with supplementation. Your lighting needs to be right. You can't over mist them. I mean, if you're sitting there misting your little baby, and you're sitting there hosing it down, a water droplet could suffocate it.
Yeah.
That's like baby turkeys.
Baby panther chameleons are very tiny, so you got to be very cautious. And we were nerve-wracked the first panther chameleon babies we hatched.
I used to raise show rabbits when I was in high school or junior high and high school, and it's only about a 30% survival rate from the best rabbits from the babies from the day they're born.
Really?
To get them up to show, you lose 65% of them.
You used to get them all the time,
as
James.
soon as they're
That's true.
born.
Well, and
we knew someone when she was in high school, she did that, and her mom would randomly call us up, "Hey, I'm putting a package on your porch," and it'd be stuff that she had frozen.
Look how small that looks when we pull up on the full screen.
So,
Look at this.
And this is a 1-month-old panther, roughly 1 month, 2 week old.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Size difference.
Yeah, the other one could eat that one.
It looks like it wants to.
That is, they are so small. I imagine they grow quickly though in the first 3 to 4 months, right? No.
Their growth spurt usually happens about 4 months old.
Let me
Gotcha.
show you now a little bit older than that one.
So Darren Watts was asking, roughly what age are your babies when they're available for sale?
We don't start selling them until 3 months old.
Minimum.
And that's purely for size. That's not for like, I want to see what it looks like, or you're waiting to sex it.
Could be both.
Right. No, that's so we get a good. They have fat pads on top of their head.
Gotcha.
That's the only fat moisture reserve they have in their body, from what I understand. And so we feed till 3 months old, so they get a good fat reserve. So whoever they go to, they have some backup, some reserve in them for either shipping or a week or two, while the person is trying to figure out a misting schedule, or contacting us, asking us questions on supplementation, even though, we provide a full care sheet. There's just, questions that pop up. I mean, if they buy the baby, we give lifetime support. If y'all have a question, we'll answer it. We want all our panther chameleon babies to do good. I mean, we've had people that we sold to chameleons back in the day, 2013 time, that are glad we're back in the hobby and asking us questions again. We're thinking about getting another one. What's changed in the industry versus T8 bulbs to T5 bulbs now?
Yeah. So how old is that one you have there, Amanda?
This one was born in June.
Yep. Don't make me do math.
6 months.
6 months? See, that's the size where I'd be
It's
like,
a shame that Robert and I got that so quick.
that's the size where if I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to kill this. Or at least I have a better chance than I kill
In
it.
your mind.
Right.
that's-
Yeah. See, and this is what we want to sell you too, because it's very well established, nice big fat pads on the top of the head. It's ready to go. You can make some mistakes and it'll be a little more forgiving than something, half a quarter of its size.
So I want to compare it to like Brazilian rainbow boas. So I breed Brazilian rainbow boas, and I will tell you, the baby Brazilian rainbow boas for at least the first year and a half, 2 years, are super sketchy. Like if you don't make sure they always have a nice big water bowl, they can dry out pretty quick. But like as the adults, because everyone always tells you, oh, you have to keep them so humid and all this and that. But the adult rainbows are almost bulletproof. Those guys are super tough. But as babies, much like these panther chameleons, they are very, very sensitive to drying out and stuff like that. And so certain species they're not the same. They're not everything's a ball python.
Right. Hey, James' dad wants to know, how old was that big one that panther that she was holding?
The adult?
Yeah.
The adult, he is almost two.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
a big old lizard.
Like that boy we had out earlier, Simba, our little holdback boy.
Yeah.
He's 8 months old.
And so let's just talk like I guess genetics and color and everything, because that's what everybody's really interested when it comes to panthers. How long do you have to wait till you kind of get it? Because I'm assuming not all babies are going to turn out the same color, even if it's from the same pairing. There's going to be a variation in a clutch.
There will be, yes.
When do you kind of get the idea of who's going to have more color?
About the 3 month mark.
Gotcha.
About the 3 month mark, you'll start getting babies that are showing more prominent color in their bars, in their cheeks, a little yellow on the lips if it's in Banjas. Simbabas, we look for, like, they'll start showing yellow in their body and deep greens and stuff like that. And you can tell that animal is going to be very nice, and then of course you can also tell the pattern by pattern whenever they're younger than that.
So let's see how old is that one there?
Oh,
it's like only holding a crested gecko.
My baby bearded dragon downstairs did that the other day. Like, he was walking all of a sudden, he literally dove off of me.
Mhm.
And all I could think was that our dog was about to turn the corner and get it because Millie was out. And so I'm scrambling, trying to catch him on the floor and find him. And,
Jared had
it was a hot mess.
Jared had a black dragon baby about this big about 1.5 feet, 2 foot long, a black dragon water monitor do that at the North Richland Hills show, and that floor was like AstroTurf carpet.
Oh, so he got grip. So it was gone.
That sucker was gone.
The only thing that stopped it was Jared and the guy who had brought it to him were chasing it down the aisle, and when it got to where Andy's stuff is, Josh like did like that, like kind of made like a football stance at it, and it scared it enough that it stopped for just a second, and that guy that had brought it jumped on it, grabbed it.
Jeez.
Like they just cracked the tub open, just gone. Right out, gone.
So what type is that one that you're holding?
So this would be a Simbava locality. So the bigger male we brought out earlier,
Okay.
Mufasa, and he's 4 months old.
Wow.
So eating 1/2-inch crickets.
That's awesome.
Small crickets at PetSmart.
Yeah, see, I could not imagine wanting to buy a baby. Like that just I guess maybe I guess the problem is that not a lot of people have had the negatives happen to them, but I've had it happen to me. And I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I know how bad it is
Right.
to get this little tiny 2-inch long baby and be like, oh, I'm gonna take care of this thing and then watch it die.
Right.
Yeah.
That is crazy. They're cool lizards, and I just wish people would think things through. The problem is they are so pretty, but it's like the price. What is I don't know, it's probably a large range, but your average 3-4 month old panther, what does it go for?
3-4 month old Simbava, they range depending on color and pattern, is $350 to $450. So somewhere around there.
And so I imagine the eggs are probably less than $200. So probably 100 bucks, 150.
From what we've seen and heard, about 100 to 150. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So in someone's head, like, oh man, I can cheat the system.
Yes.
That is not how that works.
Well, and it would give you time to get some of the equipment that you needed, but are you confident enough once that baby hatches that you can deal with it? And then are you confident enough that it's going to survive? Because I can't sell, even though I know I take the best care of my mothers, the best care, I cannot guarantee that egg will live or that baby will live. I just can't guarantee that. And it's like, at least at this point when they're, this size, I can guarantee at least a little while unless you totally screw it up,
Yeah.
So Mary Jane in the chat says, is there a size difference between locales?
So there are shape differences too. There's, let me see.
Also, like Mbonjas, I would consider the longest locality. I mean, from tip of tail to tip of nose, and they're very narrow bodied. Whereas the Simbavas, they're shorter and wider, as far as body structure goes.
I'll hold both.
And so my dad in the chat said, obviously I'm ignorant to the subject, but do you breed them to get certain colors or patterns like we do with snakes? Like, are you breeding certain ones to try and get more blue and all this?
No. We breed for the wild type look, so they're locality specific.
Yeah.
So, Mbonja needs to be bred to Mbonja, Simbava to Simbava, Ambelobe to Ambelobe, Nosy Bee to Nosy Bee.
And so I'm assuming, just like with any other reptile, there is the other side of that coin where someone is breeding for color, and they may not even care what locale it is. They're just breeding things together to get whatever.
Right. Yeah. There is cross locales out there, and as long as people are honest with it and aren't trying to sell a bunch of mixed locale females as pure locale, it could be a fun project. We just personally don't do that. We feel like the wild type look is the best.
Oh, wow.
Nah.
Gosh.
Look at that, Robert.
So, males don't like each other.
Jeez.
So they're going to be grappy. But if you'll watch this one on this side, he is going to change from green to yellow.
Look at that tail. That is.
Look at the blues on the one that Lee has, though.
Well, that's not blue.
She's got both of them.
Oh, just kidding. It totally looked like Lee was holding.
The feet look like they're freaking glowing on the one that's blue.
I know.
Gosh.
That is insane.
You can see all of his green is almost completely gone.
Look at him
now,
like
too.
posturing at the other one and hissing and puffing his throat up.
Boys, they're being very quiet.
But he's really his whole pattern is really cleaned up. It is really just this red and like yellow. It's
And I don't know if you can tell, they do have different structures of their heads.
I was just about to say, it looks like the one in front of Lee on the video has more spikes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they have
a
a-
longer nose tip.
Yeah, they have a bigger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow. It is insane that an animal can have that freaking color on it.
So, and my dad's saying the color difference is because of locales, right? They're different colors because of the locales.
Yeah, that's the difference. Is their locales make them, what color they're going to be, and they're, like we've noticed. What is it? Simbaba's are East Coast.
Yes.
So he is from the East Coast part of Madagascar. So his pattern is even different than the rest of. Their Simbabas are the only ones with a U bar.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
And like here, this is Alamo, so this is the wild caught.
Oh man, look at that.
Is that a male?
Look-
Oh, yeah.
look-
Never mind.
He's
He's
like
answered that
too
That is a
question.
close.
male.
Look at his colors changing.
Look, but look
You
at
are
the
too
yellows in its
close.
mouth. It's got those, when it opens its mouth, it's got that bright yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That is
Wow.
that is
'Cause
crazy.
The black bars were kind of muted. And
Yeah.
they-
Oh, and
when
as
that thing
soon as
fired
he
up, you could
saw,
see all the
yeah.
dots and
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
the science part, so I'm gonna get a little sciencey here. The sciencey part about this, because I know a lot of people will see a bright blue and a bright yellow or bright whatever lizard and go, how does that survive in the wild? So what
You
we
surprised. I have lost him in his cage at this color.
well, even when they're bright green, what we see is bright blue, bright green, bright orange is not what other animals are seeing. And it's
Right.
not even what, like when a female chameleon looks at him, she's not seeing that color. She's seeing a lot different. And I watched a thing, Attenborough did one on when you looked at like not infrared, but my brain's went blank. But basically, the way the colors look to animals is completely different to us. And what might show up out on some animals is like a dull brown, and then when I see it glows like this bright color. So it's very interesting to look at these colorful animals and think, man, what are the other animals seeing when they look
Right.
at them?
Yeah.
well,
Well,
you know,
I mean, some of their colors are made for predators to, that
green
like the
line.
white stripe is made to mimic a cat in Madagascar.
Huh.
To scare off
Yeah,
other
that's a-
things from eating it.
Right, that's a theory.
That's a theory,
Yeah.
wow.
Like the white on his lip, that is to look like teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not his teeth. His mouth is shut.
Well, Mary Jane had point. You can see the green starting to come back
Uh-huh.
in his body now that the other males aren't there.
Yeah, because he is cooling down now.
So
Wow.
But and I mean, they're not aggressive to humans like that. It's just they can't see each other.
Right.
So in our room, they all have to be, where they can't see each other. All their cages have to have dividers between them.
Bearded dragons are like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like whenever I see a beta tank
Mhm.
that is like a 2-fish beta tank with a little clear thing, and I'm like, no, that's horrible. Don't put 2 males in there. They're just gonna sit there
Right.
pissed off nonstop.
All the time.
But or like you'll see I've seen before where they sell mirrors to put in your beta tank. I'm like, that's not a toy. That's a torture device.
Right.
You've just made that fish
How
think.
would you like it if every time you walk by your kitchen you went "fuck you" and just
Yeah.
got mad? You know?
Every time you walk by a mirror, you think somebody's looking at you and just try to start a fight every time.
Right. Oh Jesus, humans are dumb.
But that is, oh man, look at that color on them. It's so weird with these because you could honestly look at it at one point and look at it another point and think they're two completely different
Right.
lizards.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I can only imagine like you ship a lizard to somebody. They look at the picture online and they're like, oh, that's the chameleon I want. They get it and they go, this doesn't look anything like the lizard I wanted.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And you're like, just wait, it will at some point. It also looked like 7 other lizards at
Look
some
at that.
point.
Doesn't
too.
even that
Yeah.
looks like a completely different animal now.
Well, and he does it like when he's asleep, his pajamas do not look like this.
Right.
It's completely different. And we never see that color unless he's asleep.
So Darren asks, is there aggression shown between males and females during pairings?
So the females, we don't ever show them to each other until they're receptive. So females actually show a receptive color.
Gotcha.
They go like hot pink.
Almost
Like-
a bubblegum hot pink, like
So when like chicks wear all the makeup and they wear short skirts, they're receptive right then.
Right.
Now, if they're gravid after they've been paired, if they're gravid or they're non-receptive, and we put the female in the cage, she will turn dark colors, black bars, and gape.
Yeah.
Real
Oh, wow.
Get away from me.
Yeah, she's like, I'm pregnant.
Not like my wife. Nope, did I say that out loud? Not really, baby.
Are they? I know a lot of. I mean, some snakes do it, but a lot of lizards are very aggressive when breeding,
Mhm.
biting, holding on. Do they do any of that, or is it a little more laid back?
It depends on if it's a wild caught male or a captive male.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, the wild caught or mating is a lot more violent. I guess.
Gotcha.
It's
They're more aggressive about it.
It is. I don't care if you want me or not.
Right. Yeah.
You are ready when I say you're ready.
Exactly.
Right. That's why we have to watch them really closely because the male will not stop with our wild caughts that we've noticed. Now the captive breds, they're still very aggressive too, but in a different way. They're not charging in on top of the female. You know, they're doing a little more of a slower courting routine, which is head bobbing.
So what I'm hearing is that when you get wild caughts in, they need to sit down with HR and have a talk. That no means no, and they need to go through some training.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Man,
That's interesting though, that just that one thing can be so different between wild caught versus captive
we just
bred.
gotta imagine though, the captive
It's because
ones.
they're wild, it's move fast and
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because the captive ones, they're gonna put them in there with the female when they're
Yeah.
ready and they're
Yeah.
calm and there's no stresses. Nothing's trying to eat them on a daily basis.
No.
Whereas the wild ones, if they see a female, they may not see a female again. You got to go try to do what you can do when you can do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's like when you pass by a female, you better grab her, or you're gonna never see her again. You
Right.
know.
Anybody listening, that is not what you do with people. Don't do that.
No.
Don't be like at the club and go, I don't know if I'll see you again. And then
No, we don't
that's how you get arrested.
There's
So.
a charge for that.
We do not condone that behavior.
Well, so I crack up when people. I guess I crack up. I get upset also when people give try to put human emotions on animals. They went, my animal loves me, or this or that, and I'm like, have you ever watched how certain animals actually behave? Because if they were people, we'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with that person? You know. Well, so like Luke was in here and he breeds blue tongues. I've talked before about how I'm afraid to breed blue tongues
Oh,
because
yeah.
like they could rip legs off.
Oh,
Like, could you imagine
Right.
if the woman's trying to get away and just yanks her arm off and then he still fucks her? Like that's
Yeah, blue tongues are the worst.
No, the chameleons don't use their mouth when they grab the female, they use their hands.
their oven mitts.
Yep, and they grab on and they'll grab her tail
girl.
and hold her from walking. You know, but they don't use their mouth.
Let me tickle you with these oven mitts.
Can I
Yeah.
grab you, fat cat?
Luke says that's how he got
I just grabbed her. You're mine now. Until I'm done with you, and then you can
Have you
go.
ever seen that movie Year One
Yes.
with
Yes.
Jack Black?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Go hit her!"
Hit her.
Pop! Punches him.
Oh man! Again, if animals were people,
Oh,
that's why I was like, I hate cats, and I always tell people like, if cats were people, they'd be serial murderers, and we would put them in jail. Like
right,
they would be locked up.
exactly.
So apparently, with these lizards, they would.
Well, Lucas came to work Monday with a big busted lip, and I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "My cat was laying there, and he just went." And got me with a
Oh,
claw
man.
right in the lip. Just
My dad said if they used their mouth every now and then, she wouldn't play hard to get. Oh,
maybe I should not have recommended this podcast to the lady for her 13.
So do y'all do any other chameleons, or are you just gung ho? It's all panthers.
All panthers.
All panthers.
We used to have a Parsons years and years and years
Yeah.
ago, you know, back before people figured out how to hatch those eggs.
Right.
You know, but
Wait,
Jackson.
and we had Jacksons, we did have carpets for a little while, but it's just the panthers have always been our favorite because I mean, look at the colors. You know, it's
right.
like get those colors with everything else. And then I love them for their personality. I mean, they are so handleable. You know, they're extremely like if I was going to recommend a chameleon to anybody, it's going to be a panther just because you get color payout and handleability.
And
It's
hardiness.
yeah, I mean, you know, you go with like a veiled, which is a whole lot cheaper. You know, it's just you don't get all those beautiful colors, and usually they're kind of mean. Usually, not always, but
Yeah, if I just want a green lizard, I'm gonna go catch an anole outside.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
let me
if
ask you.
want something that's blue and orange and red and yellow and all in the same animal.
So let me ask you this, and I know y'all are partial, so the answer may be skewed. If someone was getting their first chameleon, what would you say is the easiest or most forgiving? Would it be a panther, or I mean, are veileds that much easier, or are they just cheap and that's why they're the number one?
Yeah. So veils hatch bigger.
Gotcha.
They also do come from larger clutches.
Yeah.
They're a veiled female can have
60 eggs.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that is why they are more widely available,
Right.
because you're looking at double or triple the amount of what a panther can have.
Yeah. And the babies hatch. They hatch about the size of a month-old panther chameleon, so they can already eat quarter-inch crickets.
Yeah.
You're feeding a bigger prey item, of course you're going to get faster growth. So they're hatching at a month-old size panther, and they're already feeding the bigger feeder. So at 2 months old, they're the size of a 3-month-old, panther chameleon, and then at 3 months old, they're the size of a 4-month-old panther chameleon. They start growing. They start getting their rapid growth rate.
Gotcha. So
it would really be like if you're asking hardiness. That's really the only difference. Maybe they just start out a little bit bigger, but I mean, it's still a chameleon. They almost the same care. A little different, but almost the same.
Yeah, but veils require it to be a little bit hotter.
gotcha.
I've
had a few. I had someone give me, and they were adults, so I don't even know how old they were. They were adults when I got them, so they lasted a couple of years with me. But I had someone give me a panther, a big male panther.
He was cool.
He was cool, and then I had an Austerlitz, which is a very boring looking. It's a big one, but it's like one color. He was like brown.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much about them other than the chameleons, and I kind of knew the basic chameleon. I had the big screen cages and like a big potted plant that I kept in there, and they kind of lived on the plant and went up and down. I had the UV lights, and every now and then we had an extra cage. We'd go and put them like outside and let them sit outside.
He had a hibiscus that he loved to hang out in.
Yeah, but I knew nothing about the Austerlitz other than that it was brown and it was pretty big.
Yeah.
But I had seen pictures. It wasn't until I saw the first Parsons and I was like, no, that's a big fucking chameleon.
That's a huge chameleon.
I think it's just so hard for people to understand.
It's right. Parsons is the heaviest chameleon, and a Mellors is the longest chameleon.
Gotcha.
I think that's how it works.
There are just certain reptiles that I don't think people can understand size until you see it. Well, it goes either way. So like, I don't think people understand a lychee until you see a full grown lychee.
Yes, because then you're thinking gargoyle and you're like, okay, yeah, and then you see a lychee and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like a gargoyle on steroids. That's huge.
Yes, like
I've seen Mellors fired up. Those things are awesome.
Okay, now I've got to look it up.
They get like these Mickey Mouse ears that come flying up.
That's funny.
That's a cool looking chameleon.
Aw.
So our buddy Carl, I think the best thing he does, because he sells the lychees, is he brings those adult lychees.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I
think
think
does it with his pectinatus too.
the pectinatus, yeah, he does that. And I think I assume, do y'all ever bring? I can't remember if you do, and I feel bad, but I can't remember. I'm usually stuck at a table. Do y'all bring adults to also show? Because
Chandler goes to all the shows.
well, see, I always worry like stress. I always worry people with certain things, and so again, I'm going off of 20-something years in the past or whatever. As the chameleons, they stress so easy.
I've noticed that some of those chameleon guys or chameleon breeders, they only do one day of the show. There's a couple of them. They only do one day of the show instead of 2 days.
Well, and I see like I've walked. I do remember. I've walked by and I have seen yours. There's you and I cannot remember his name because we had him on the podcast before. He does the other He does Panthers as well.
Lone Star Panthers.
Yes,
that guy. Yeah, he's the one I'm talking about. He usually only does one day,
and they're nice and colorful.
Work schedule too.
And they look good. But then I've seen people go to other tables and buy a chameleon and then walk around the show with the chameleon, and that thing is just dark as hell. And you can look at it and go, that thing is not happy to be on that person's shoulder walking around a show. So I just wonder if are your animals just used to that? And when I'm seeing someone on a show that's already stressed from going to a show and being thrown in a deli cup and thrown on a shoulder and carried around, how do you feel about people, the stress level of having those chameleons out like that?
I mean, like for Chandler to prepare him for a show, I do actually prepare him to go. I heavy feed him that whole week. I give him, I like to call it Gatorade, so it's hornworms. And that way he is super hydrated. I make sure he eats, plenty of food, more so than normal. And then, really watch those fat pads on the top of his head and get them all nice and fat. And as long as he is super hydrated, I know he can handle it. But also, I did purposely raise him for shows. So every time somebody would come over to our house, I'd rip him out of his cage and put him in their hand.
Gotcha.
And I mean, he literally, a kid could probably squeeze him and he would not do anything. I mean, but I raised him knowing I wanted to take him to shows. But also, like I said, and like before we ship chameleons out, we always pump them with silkworms or hornworms just to give them the extra hydration and extra food in their system.
That is the grossest thing to watch a lizard eat.
You should try letting a box turtle eat a hornworm.
Yeah.
It is
Not-
the
it's not
coolest thing
It is.
ever.
For me, it's every time I go do it, he snaps his mouth shut and it shoots me in the face.
Yes, that's I'm just thinking of just hornworm juice all over the place. It's
Yeah, did you know that they're green when they bleed?
yes.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
third graders thought that was so cool. Our box turtle had hornworms the other day, and they were like, "This was better than the other worm she ate," because you brought the red wiggler.
Oh yeah. So here's a question in the chat, and it was actually I had posted if anybody had any chameleon questions on our Facebook page, and this is shown up twice now. What are your thoughts on using fake plants in a cage? Maybe not everybody can do the bioactive. Maybe not everybody has a green thumb and can really keep plants alive. Are fake plants a good alternative?
So that's the only thing we use. We don't use live plants. And the reason being is because I want to be able to sterilize the cage so I can take it outside or put it in my shower and bleach it, soap it, super clean if I want to. And I also don't have to take care of the plant. I mean, because it's like I'm already taking care of the animal. I'm not gonna take care of it.
Right.
See, that's me. I'm not a like, oh, I want this super naturalistic thing because I don't want to have to keep the plant alive.
That's
Although Katie is keeping an entire pumpkin patch alive in her box turtle cage.
No. When I went yesterday, she'd eaten most of it.
Oh, did she?
She's starting to eat them.
I guess the
now.
leaves finally got to where they tasted good.
So we fed her our box turtle. I mean, we could say it's bioactive, I guess, because I was growing plants. But we fed her some pumpkin back in October, and it looked like a jungle.
Yeah, it started to like the vines growing all across the
starting
bottom.
to take over. We were about to start pulling stuff, and over the weekend she ate a bunch of them. So I guess we just had to. The kids were like, "I guess they just needed to get big enough for her." I said, "I guess I don't know."
She's farming her own food now.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Your box turtles learned to farm.
There's still more in there. Like she didn't eat all of them, but she ate a lot of the big ones.
And another reason that we like to do fake plants over live plants is sometimes you get those little like gnat things,
Ugh.
this is dirt and it's like,
Yeah, we get them.
and yeah, so it's like, you don't deal with that with fake plants.
Our tortoises cause that. We have all the soil and everything for our tortoises, and that's why we get them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we get them because of like the gut load, because we have to feed the crickets, fruits, vegetables. So it's like they live in there with the crickets, but at least they don't live in there with millions.
So Katie, remind me, I haven't gotten to our Facebook. So I want to go through our Facebook group. There's some interesting things that are posted on our Facebook group. One that I thought was funny, and I don't know if any of you have seen the video of the little kid that got bit by the anole, the green anole.
That was freaking
It's
out.
all one word. It's attached on the lip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as someone who's grown up in the South, and your mom does this, she's fucking nuts. Puts them on her ears like earrings.
Oh, my mom almost gave her mother-in-law a heart attack one time because one of the kids caught it from the garden, and she's like, "Oh, watch this! I can have an earring." And my mom just like pops it on her earlobe like it's nothing. And
so I laugh at the video. If you go to the original post, where Nathan got it from, and read the comments, there's these people just tearing apart the parents for being horrible parents and laughing. I'm like, no, I'd have laughed my fucking ass off.
Yeah.
I'm like, one, that kid's in that predicament because they tried to kiss that lizard.
Oh,
not only that,
they're
but I guarantee
definitely smooching.
100%. And those parents probably said, "Leave it alone. You're gonna get hurt. Leave it alone. You're gonna get hurt."
and they're fine. It's a green anole. It's not going to rip her face off.
Right.
They didn't let a
She
black
thinks
dragon.
that at the moment.
They didn't let a croc
but
monitor come up and bite her on the lip. It
She'll
wasn't,
learn to listen next time.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't a tokay.
that is true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is true. That video would
Would've
have
had
ended
a-
differently.
Permanent piercing at that point.
Yeah.
So the next thing that was interesting, we've talked about this a couple times on the podcast. Megan posted a video from the Kentucky Reptile Zoo and their Western Diamondback. They opened the tub with their Western Diamondback, and what do they find in there? A baby. And they did not breed their Western Diamondback rattlesnake, but they found a baby going across the thing through parthenogenesis. And I've seen that before. I had a buddy who had that happen with copperheads. He opened the cage, took the mom out, took the female out, and then went to go clean, and little heads popped up out of the aspen
I
bedding.
remember that.
Yeah. And we,
Yeah, it freaked him
He
out.
was-
Yeah, you didn't think about that with parthenogenesis and something that gives live birth.
yeah. And so that happened we were at the zoo where I used to work after I left there, but we were there one day and someone said, "Hey, there's baby snakes in a cage." And I was talking to the director. I was like, "I'll walk over there and go look for you. I'm sure there's no baby snakes." I walk over there, and sure enough, in the canebrake cage, there's 2 babies, and that thing had not been with a male ever. So parthenogenesis, you don't, like I said, it's a weird thing. If you're keeping venomous live bearers, it's a definite thing that you have to worry about if it's a female, that if you reach in, there's more than one snake in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's terrifying.
yeah, that was a weird one. Let's see, Georgia is citing threats from non-native species. DNR has expanded limits on animals that can be bought,
Yeah.
sold, or kept.
They're basically becoming Florida North, which they really are.
So, but Georgia already had crazy animal laws.
You couldn't have a corn snake at all in Georgia.
Yeah, and so now they're going to double down on that. So if you live in Georgia and you want to keep reptiles,
What's crazy is
Move.
that 2 of the biggest ball python breeders are in Georgia.
and that's because they're ball pythons, and that won't be on the list yet.
Hmm.
Yeah, everything yet.
Yeah, so just give it time. I'm trying to see what else. There were several interesting things I saw. I just got to get to them. Oh, I posted one today from Ryan McVeigh. He was in Texas and he found a speckled racer, which is bright freaking blue.
That is my
Cool.
number 1 snake in the world.
He
That's
was-
cool.
Oh, I saw it and I'm like, it almost looks like something that's not from North America. It looks very much like you'd see it in like Asia.
Like an
like-
old world rat snake is what they remind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is black with bright blue speckling. And like I watched the video. If you can
He
find it,
must have been like down on the border.
Brownsville, I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So,
doesn't get much more south than that. It'll still be US.
So he was, but the crazy thing was, because when I think racer, I think that thing's just gonna fucking go. But I watched the video, and if you watch it, I posted it over on our Facebook group. They positioned it on the palm leaf, and they took pictures and video, and it just sat there. I'm like, it is an insane looking snake. So you just don't think of us having bright blue snakes like that.
Oh, you don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it called? Is it
No,
the
there it is.
indigo?
Oh, the indigo is
You know, I
Beautiful.
mean,
Colors that show up. In
yeah,
that.
that's. I mean, that's a beautiful snake. You know, and you just, you don't expect it when you raise stuff like this. You know, it's like you don't expect Texas to have certain things, but
I'll say a lot of people don't think about the Western coach whip. The Western coach whip is like Pepto-Bismol pink.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brittany just messaged me and said they can only see them. Was that because you? just
That's
have them
because-
pulled up?
Oh,
he
that's because
still
I
has
haven't.
the
My bad.
screen.
I keep
Okay.
forgetting to go back. They kept showing lizards.
Well, yeah.
So- They kept
That's why you had chameleons out, so he had it on the full screen so more people could see.
this is one that I wish. I mean, I say I wish it would happen to me, but I also wish it wouldn't have happened. The person that found the snow boa in
Yeah.
Florida,
Red Stanberry.
big ass, full grown female, like probably it looks like easily 8 foot, 7.5 foot
Oh yeah,
snow boa.
has been eating well.
Yeah. So just because,
Somebody told him there's a yellow snake back here, a white and yellow snake, and he's like, "Can you just send me a picture? Because that doesn't sound right at all." And he's like, they sent him that picture. He's like, "I'll be right there. I'm on my way."
will they send them that picture? Because that picture would make me go there
No.
also.
No, that's his wife.
Oh, okay. I was saying,
That's Taylor.
in case anybody hadn't seen the picture,
They,
go check it out on our Facebook group.
Yeah, no, they sent him a picture of it. Just
There is a
sitting
snake.
there.
There is a snake in the picture. It may take you a little time to see this giant snake in the picture because there are other things in the picture as well.
Oh my goodness.
2 of them to be exact.
They're interesting, man. They have monkeys and they have all kinds of cool animals. Rhett and Taylor do.
That's cool.
He's also, got his venomous license. And
So we just talked about it. Nathan posted a whole thing from the Orient Society on the Texas indigos. The Orient Society does a lot of work on Eastern indigos, which get all the credit, which they should. They're beautiful. They're huge. They're amazing snakes. But the Texas indigo is also a really cool snake.
yeah, James got the whole one at the College Station.
I did at that Bryan College Station show. Someone we know brought one there. That was the first time I'd ever seen one in person. The first time I ever held one. It's cool,
Oh yeah.
especially for something that eats venomous snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it overpowers rattlesnakes and just like fuck you rattlesnake, and then just eats them. Nathan also posted the most badass crab on earth in our. Did you watch that video today?
Yeah, I've seen that's been around for a long
He
time.
like
So
rips his own
It
arm
fought,
off.
first off, it fought a bird,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the bird fucked up its one claw. And then as he's walking away, this claw doesn't move. He just reaches over the other claw and just rips it off and throws it off, and then
and
keeps
just
walking.
keeps on going.
Yep.
It's the most badass crab on earth.
It's pretty cool.
And then Travis, right before we got on, actually posted a paper about serpentovirus. He actually, thank you, Travis, for finally listening and giving highlights instead of making people read the whole damn paper, because we're not going to do that.
No, it's you are not going to do that.
When I say we, I mean me. The highlights here, it's not a single virus, but a collection of related viruses. So there's not just one virus you can go after to try and get rid of serpentovirus, which is one of those viruses that are showing up in collections that people are having issues with. Different lineages of the viruses look to be specific to certain species. So just because one is affecting one group of snakes, does not mean it's affecting the other group. Even though it may affect it the same way, it's not exactly the same virus. So treatment would be an issue there. Just because an animal tests positive does not automatically mean it will die, which is a lot of viruses. I think the easiest way to explain that to people is COVID. So like I've been tested twice for COVID and I've had it twice, but both times I never suffered.
You were asymptomatic
Yeah.
both times.
So I always tell folks, when they're like, yeah, I've never had COVID. No, you just didn't test for it. At this point in our society, most of us, because of the way we are as a society, have had COVID. It's
Right.
just, it's we're everywhere and we're not clean and we cough and we touch things and we're just gross individuals. And so you've had it, but not everybody's affected by it. Like I've never had the flu. Well, because I don't ever test myself for the flu because I don't suffer from flu symptoms.
Right.
But I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years around nasty ass little petri dishes.
Mine are so much worse than yours. Don't even go.
I've probably had the flu at some point because kids are gross, but it doesn't affect me. So with snakes or with any of these animals, just because they don't show the symptoms of a virus doesn't mean they don't have it. They can definitely carry it and they can just be a stronger member of that population and not suffer ill effects. So just because they have a virus doesn't mean they'll die, which will be very interesting with all this new virus testing that people are starting to do. I think more people are going to start to find out they have animals in their collection that have the virus that have never been sick, not once.
or carriers.
Makes sense.
And Travis also said in here, there's spillover of a virus into different species and genre may have negative impact. So from one species to another could have negative impact. So it was just an interesting paper that he posted. And then I had one other post that fucking went crazy. I asked one question on like Sunday, I think.
Oh, it
And-
was blowing up.
and we had like 40 replies to it. But it was who inspired you to get into the hobby and how.
Yeah,
And-
that one blew up.
And everybody loved that one. So I just want to try to go through a few. Our buddy Dax said, me, myself, and I. Shut up, Dax.
A lot of people had that response
Dax is-
though.
Dax is happy today because the Yankees signed
Find
Aaron
Air
Judge.
Judge. Yeah.
But they but a lot of people said it was themselves that got themselves into this.
Ashley Howdy said Steve Irwin. And the anoles outside of her house, which I could definitely see her putting those on her ears.
Yeah,
100% think Ashley Howdy has put an anole on her ear at some point.
Funny.
But yeah, and then
she handles that black dragon.
yeah, and she has a
Like
croc
it
monitor.
ain't nothing.
But she says she loves dinosaurs. So every book. That's kind of a lot of us. We grew up loving dinosaurs, and if you're at a certain age, Steve Irwin was a big one for me. Brian Lovins, who is of a different age,
Brian's a little older than us.
said it was a box turtle in the late 70s, and then he
Nice.
watched. He also aged himself here by saying he watched Jacques Cousteau. So
Nice.
and Mutual of Omaha. So Wild Kingdom. So those are some. Going down. Drew Schultz from the Learning Zoo said third grade science textbooks with a fucking nerd. Third grade science textbook with a picture of a leopard gecko in it. That got him fascinated.
That's awesome.
Our buddy Travis Wyman said, first,
Drew Schultz cannot tell me that Steve Irwin did not affect him, did not influence him.
With his little Steve Irwin outfit.
Right.
Travis Wyman said, first, I would say I inspired myself when I caught a baby garter at age 5 and immediately wanted to keep it. Later, he said Arthur Rosenfeld and Monk Yoon wrote, which we had on the Pint Size podcast, absolutely shaped the way and aspired to keep his reptiles. So if anybody wants to check that out, go check out the we really got to get back to do those episodes. They were fun. But the Pint Size reptile podcast, we had a monk, the cussing monk on. That was a very interesting podcast.
I have a birthday to share if you're done with it.
I'm not done with that. I'm going through some of these. I'm trying to get some of our people here. Oh, here's one. Daphne Ann said Repticulture. Houston got them into the hobby. So our buddies
cool.
at Repticulture.
What got you guys in?
Talking to us?
Yes.
Well, let me see. So when I was growing up, I lived on, like not a lot of land, but a couple acres of land. And my papa, he always just loved nature. And I just lived outside just constantly, And I'm a very outdoorsy person. I can hunt and fish. But, it was mainly just being so outdoorsy. But if I told you the real truth of the chameleon, you would probably be like, what? I mean, I walked into a PetSmart and saw the little baby veiled, but I did not buy it. I came home and I researched and researched and researched and then bought a 4-month-old panther chameleon from a breeder that is now no longer doing it. But that was how that happened.
Wow.
I married this guy. That was
my main thing was Steve Irwin, watching him growing up, and then also just going outside and catching,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd see little fence lizards. I go grab the little fence lizard, be fascinated with it. Why did it drop its tail? Will that grow back? Catching little grass snakes, and I'm like, how do y'all eat anything?
I know.
Your
Right.
head is so tiny. Or the blind earth snake. Is that what they call it?
That's what I mean.
The rough earth snake?
Yes, the rough earth snake. That's right. Yeah, where if you catch those and you look at it, you're like, you're an earthworm and you're a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my Meemaw is terrified of snakes, and as a kid, one would get one of those blind earth snake things, would get into the house, and she'd be like, let me see what it is. Oh, okay, that's fine. We can put it outside.
Yeah.
Because it's, she's like, that's just a worm.
Yep.
And it basically is. It couldn't bite you if it
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yep.
I mean, it looked like it to me.
Here's one. Jacob Williamson said he got a bearded dragon and fell in love. But then the guys on Morelia Python Radio, which I listen to, are definitely what pushed him to really want to dive into and work with more animals. But for me, it was several things. I've talked about before. When I had my dad on, we had a ball python. That was a horrible experience. And then we got a red-tailed boa, and that stuck with me. But it was really later on when I got into high school and middle school, and I was watching Steve Irwin, and then my parents took me to a reptile show, and I made a horrible purchase and bought my very first snake of my own. It was a Brazilian rainbow boa, which is a horrible first purchase, but he lived for 17 years, so something went right.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks on here, it was like Steve Irwin and stuff like that, and that really.
I mean, anybody that's probably 35 to 45 grew up watching Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably in junior high when he came on the scene, but yeah, I mean, he definitely shaped the fact that I even like reptiles. But,
100%.
For me, I was at a pet store in El Paso, well, actually in Las Cruces, and said, I'm going to buy a snake today, and bought a hognose, who we still have, and got home, and Rachel was like, well, I like snakes. And I was like, God, if you told me that, I don't remember it. And next thing you know, we started buying ball pythons.
Yeah. And then my dad pointed out, that's true. I got that Brazilian rainbow boa. And then like a year or two later, we found that same breed, or I don't think actually it was a breeder. He was a reseller, but we went all the way to South Carolina to a show to get a red tail.
Really?
Yeah. And I love that thing. Darren wants to know, whose idea was it to turn this into a business, and did it take much convincing the other?
So we are both Capricorns, so we don't have to convince each other for anything. I mean, we just, tell them like, hey, I'm doing this. And the other's like, okay. I mean, that's just it. Literally, but it was me or my idea, just because Ranger was my baby.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch, we have very cringy YouTube channel from 2009, whatever. I mean, with all of our chameleons then, and you will see that, how much they were bonded to me. They would come up to me, come flying out of the cage with their hands reaching, and he would stick his hand out and they would just no.
Yeah.
And you can watch those videos and see it. He'll stick his hand and they just no.
Yeah,
That's
she
so
be
funny.
feeding them all the good feeders, and then I got stuck sitting there pouring crickets out, and they're like, "Well, she feeds hornworms and silkworms."
Uh-huh. That's it.
Yeah. And, I mean, I have an overbite, so I'm sure, you can see a lot of my teeth. Well, teeth are white. So, yes, a chameleon more than once has shot my teeth with their tongue.
That's
I'm
funny.
sitting there, I'm just talking to them. I'm like, oh, yes, and they, those two eyes go, whoop.
That's got to be an awkward
and there's
sensation.
the tongue right into your mouth.
Oh my god.
Getting tongued by a chameleon. That's got to be.
Yeah, it's not fun because it's kind of sticky and it sticks to your teeth.
I had a giraffe. I had a giraffe wrap its tongue around my arm the other day.
That's true. We kind of mentioned it last week, but you went to a zoo for you did a delivery up there and got to stay in a hotel room that had a giraffe hole.
Had a giraffe.
It had a giraffe hole.
The
Yeah.
old giraffe hole.
Not to be confused with the glory hole.
Depending on how you
It's
use the
true.
giraffe hole.
True. It's a little high. Yeah, it's called the Oak Meadow Ranch. It's in Valley View, Texas, which is between Denton and Oklahoma, basically. It's almost Oklahoma. And right by Lake Ray Roberts. And the place is amazing. It's only about 40 or 50 acres, but it's a fully interactive zoo.
Yeah.
It's like $175 to get in.
But you get to play with everything.
Yeah, and then they have a steakhouse it's pricey, but they bring like the sloth in and the coatis in. And
How was the steak?
we didn't. They were closed for that whole week.
They didn't have any animals die that week, so they weren't
Yeah,
making steak.
yeah. The people who run the restaurant, or they went to Mexico for a week.
Gotcha.
They went home, and then they have some glampers, just nice travel trailers. They have a hot tub out in the woods. Like you just follow this path out in the woods. Boom, there's a hot tub with a cover.
Do random animals show up while you're in the hot tub?
No,
Oh,
the
okay.
animals are the turkeys. There's some turkeys and some dogs. And then they have their I forgot what the name of it is, but they have 4 rooms that are attached to the giraffe barn. 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. And so we were in the King Ranch room. There's the King Ranch, the 4 6s, and then I forget the name of the other 2. And yeah, it's pretty awesome because the only window in the room is the one facing the giraffe barn. And there's a tiny little TV and a huge window where you watch the giraffe. And then there's a little access door, and they put some cups, like this fancy little thing next to it with I guess some kind of long leaf lettuce and carrot sticks.
And you just get to feed it from the hole.
So he's funny. His name's Puzzles. He's a 16-year-old child, is what they said. And you'll like open the door because you want to go feed him, and you'll like wave it out the door, and he'll just look over at you and look away. The minute you just step away and close the door, then he runs over there. And then you open the door and it's all good, but it's got to be on his terms.
So you've messed up though, because now Rachel's going to go to hotels and they don't have giraffes.
Yeah.
So every hotel at this point is going to suck.
Yeah. So we're going to be going back there because they're about to order a bunch of cages for cobras.
Oh, wow.
So we'll make a delivery again. But this time we're going to stay. We didn't get there until late on Monday. Like it was almost dark when we got there. So we really couldn't do much. And then the next morning, Tuesday morning, they came and got us and they unloaded the trailer. And then they were getting ready to feed the baby camels, which are 7 months old. When you think baby camel, you're like, oh, baby camel. No, it's like 6 foot tall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Still huge.
Still a huge animal, like the size of a horse, but taller. So they bottle feed them. So Rachel got to bottle feed one of the camels. They actually make them lay down. They have their whole little commands.
Does they cush?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And It's funny because the one Rachel fed got like milk drunk. Like it would stand up and it was like stumbling like it had been.
Have you ever seen how dangerous a full-grown male camel is?
Oh yeah.
They can fit a whole human head in their mouth
Mhm.
and just like pick you up by it, pop. Like they're horribly dangerous.
They'll use the big pads on the front of their legs to crush.
Yeah.
They just had 2 guys get killed out in Georgia at some kind of wild animal thing. The male camel went nuts on them.
One of the guys I watch on YouTube, he got one, but he got a 2-year-old. And there's a reason you find a lot of 2-year-olds for sale, because that's about the age they quit using them for like riding and taking on to birthday parties. And so they finally had to get them fixed because there were some issues. And he's calmed down since they got him fixed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Imagine so.
I've seen pictures of where camel fits on an entire human head in their mouth. And I'm like, that's horrifying.
That's crazy.
So
they have
not dry in there because I've seen their mouth.
No.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
that's just gross.
I'm just worried about them picking me up by my head and just snapping my neck.
Decapitate, like
Decaffeinating your head.
So
decapitation, right?
There's
there.
a podcast that I listen to called Tooth and Claw, and it's these guys all there. One's a biologist, works in Yellowstone, and one's his brother, and then the other one's just a friend of theirs. And they did one on the camels, and there's several cases of camels decapitating people.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't.
Yeah.
Then just think about the next time you get.
I couldn't put that on my tombstone.
Yeah.
Just think the next time you go to like a fair and they're like camel rides for the kids. Nope, not going over there.
Yep. It's funny because
when I was little at the
I
zoo,
have.
Yeah.
at the Renaissance Festival, when those camels are funny because when you get in there, they come up and they want to get like right in your face. And they smell you, and you're like, Jesus Christ, your breath is horrible. And they just grab them by the nose like this and blow in their face. And that's like the no. I'm like, yeah, but when that thing's like,
when he's full grown,
when it's like 2,000 pounds, and
I don't know if no means no anymore. He's gonna be like that male chameleon. No longer means
Right.
no.
I didn't even pay attention if they were females, males, you know what. One of them was white.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a white camel, and then the other one's
I'm assuming they were all dromaries.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't ever see Bactrin.
Yeah, apparently those are way more aggressive and have problems.
Yeah, my dad said, I remember riding a camel as a kid at the Jackson Zoo.
Yep.
And now I think about, I could have died.
Yeah, well,
God, what horrible parents were y'all?
Whatever.
I could have been decapitated by a camel.
I mean, that'd be a fun story.
Not for me. I couldn't tell it. I'd be decapitated by a camel.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you can't tell the story.
It's not a fun story for me. I mean, then they have to go around
What a
telling
way to go, man.
they're meeting people. Yeah, we had a kid, but we let him ride a camel and just didn't go well.
no, we don't.
So, all right, let's wrap this up. This is gonna be a fun one to edit because of our
beginning technical.
But wait, I had a birthday to share.
Oh,
All
what's your birthday?
Yes. So I get emails every week from Reptiles Magazine. And the one this week talks about how Jonathan, the world's oldest Aldabra tortoise, celebrated his 190th birthday.
Oh,
This tortoise has lived through both World War I and II, 7 British monarchs, and 39 U.S. presidents. And he celebrated his birthday at his home in St. Helena.
Wow.
Wow.
It's an old ass tortoise.
Isn't it though? Like it's got a real, I'll share the article on the discussion page, but there's a really cool article about him and different information as well. So
That's crazy.
The information
Yeah.
is he's old.
well, then there's general information.
he
about
probably doesn't move
Aldabras
much.
too, but
I think probably
190. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, see, Panthers don't live like that.
No.
He's lived through about 800 generations of panther chameleons.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, since they probably evolved.
yeah. that's-
Yeah.
Just think about how much Madagascar has changed in the 190 years of that tortoise.
Jonathan has been
And he's not
on.
that
And
far
he's from
from
the Seychelles.
Yeah, he's from
that's
Seychelles.
like-
He's not that far from Madagascar originally.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
I mean, they used to have the 50% of the rainforest has been lost in his lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So that is crazy. My dad's asking how old was Big Al. Big Al was our Aldabra tortoise at the zoo I used to work at, and he's probably somewhere around 80 or 90.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he's hit 100 yet.
No, but he weighs like 500 something pounds.
Yeah.
It's a big ass tortoise.
Wow.
Yeah, at that size, they do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. See, our chameleon sticks in their cage are held up with thumbtacks.
Yeah.
They are that light.
I
so
love it.
So if folks want to get a hold of y'all, if they want to check out the chameleons you have, or if they have questions about them, what's the best way for them to do that?
So we have our website. It's reddysrainforest.com. And then, of course, Facebook and Instagram with the same thing. And then
Yes.
we go to shows. So, and you can always come and talk to us in person. Y'all know it. We love to talk in person.
Yes, they will. They will talk your ears off in the best way, though. They will tell you
Absolutely.
everything. You will not leave that table with any questions about Panther Chameleons. If you did, you just didn't talk to them.
No.
Or
If
you didn't
have a
listen.
question, then you must not been listening because we tell you everything.
It's awesome.
Yes.
That's why we do shows. That's really the favorite part about shows is purely education.
Yeah.
Is we're trying to change the world one mind at a time with the chameleons.
Yeah. They're not fish.
They're not
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing to change everybody's mind on.
Well, it's because everybody sees those front opening exoteric cages with all the plants in them. And they go, well, that looks good for a chameleon.
Yeah, and the
You know, like-
waterfall, and well, because it probably has a chameleon on the box.
So Big
Right.
Al has been at the Alexandria Zoo since 1975.
Yeah, and he was
This was an article from 2014, and they said he was in his 90s. Somebody last name Liskowski.
Lisa. Yeah, she's
She would
the
know.
curator there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's pushing
He's
about 100.
pushing 100.
Yeah.
He's a big ass tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
Robert, if people want to get a hold of you,
They should know by now.
that's true.
LSRX.com. James, if people want to get a hold of you or us.
If you want to get a hold of us, it's the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. Check out our store on Facebook. We have shirts. I added a new shirt, which has our new logo on the front, on the pocket, and then it has our old logo on the back. I need to order one of those for me. I'll get one from Robert and get one for you because we need shirts. But check that out. Also, don't forget, every week in the month of December, we are giving away a temp gun from our friends over at Colossal Constrictors. All you have to do is comment on our weekly questions, and you will be put into that week's giveaway. Anything else? Next show is Slidell this weekend. You're going that. When's y'all's next show?
Our next is it Shawnee? Is Shawnee the next?
Yeah, the beginning of somewhere middle of January.
Yeah.
We'll be
Yeah,
there.
because I think it's Shawnee, then Longview, then
And then Conroe.
It's like Shawnee, Longview, Conroe, something like that. But we're not doing Longview. We're gonna be pig hunting. So trying to get through deer season and then get some bacon on.
I love it.
So go check out. If you see my show, go talk to them. Check out their animals. They're amazing looking. That's it. We'll be back next week. Should I say our guest next week? Or should I?
Just make a post later.
I won't say our guest because I don't want to mess up, but I'm excited about our guest next week. Thank y'all for coming on. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh yeah.
Y'all
We
hang on.
always will talk.
Absolutely. Y'all hang on just a second.
Hang on as we log off. Thank you everybody for watching, and good night.
All right. Good night.
Yeah.